Hello, welcome to the law talk. You're through there. I'm Oliver, so the outreach manager here at the university. Just to make you aware, before we get started, I introduce our admissions tutor. There is a Q&A that you're available to put any questions that you have, and you can also sort of upvote those as well. So there's normally a little sort of thumbs up. So if there's any particular question, save you sort of typing it out again, you can do that, and that sort of just prioritises the questions for us. Without further ado, I will introduce Edward Jones, our admissions tutor for law, and he can run through what the course will entail at Leicester.
Hello, it's lovely to see you. In this particular session, I want to make sure that you have a good idea of what you can study at Leicester Law School, why you might study law, and how we actually ensure that you get a really great experience at the law school. First of all, you might be thinking about your various options for university, and I would like to make sure that you've got a good idea about why you would want to study at Leicester. Well, Leicester has been assessed as being a top 25 university in the UK by the Times Higher World Education Rankings. And our graduate employment prospects are excellent. Actually, we're a little bit higher in the law school. 95% of our students are in employment or further study 6 months after graduating. At Leicester, our main focus is working for positive change in the world. We're recognised as being in the top 5 of UK universities for sustainability in contributing to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And in the world, that means we're 21st in the whole world out of over 500 universities. And we're 23rd in the world for the Sustainable Development Goal that is most relevant to law. That's peace, justice, and stable institutions. Leicester is also consistently recognised as being of great value. Though it's the 10th largest city in the UK, it's also extremely affordable. The accommodation and food costs are low. The food is great. Being such a diverse city that we are, you can eat from different parts of the world each day for a month. And I'm led to believe there is a street in the West End where you could eat just on that one street from a different part of the world each day. Now, our Students' Union offers a great environment for you to enhance your university experience as well. That is a union of over 200 clubs and societies, and we boast the UK's only on-campus nightclub, the O2 Academy. That's what I think is great about Leicester as a university, and one of the reasons why I moved to work at the University of Leicester as an academic was to ensure that I'm working in a group of academics and students who are working together to ensure that there is positive change happening in the world related to the legal sphere. And in order to do that, one of the great things about studying law at Leicester is that you do look at how law applies in real life, and you apply the law to real life situations. But importantly, you will be learning how to critically analyse that law, how to assess whether it should be reformed, whether the law should change at a political level, or whether the law should be applied in a different way in your particular situation. Say if you're in front of a judge, or maybe you would be a future advocate in the Supreme Court arguing for the law to be changed for the benefit of everybody. And in order to do that, you need to learn transferable legal skills. You need to practice the practical side of things as well as the intellectual. So the law school at Leicester really focuses at the full range of the different skills that are needed to be a successful lawyer or professional in related careers. Now, on the law careers in the legal professions themselves, of course, an LLB helps you become a solicitor or a barrister. And for an additional year, the Solicitors Regulation Authority have said that a law degree can count to allow you to study the gold standard professional qualification, the legal practice course, provided you accept your place by the 31st of August 2021. So it's important that you accept a place on a law degree before clearing to ensure that you have the choice between doing the regular, well-established practical course called the legal practice course if you're heading towards the solicitor's profession. If you accept your place after that, your only option in the future will be to study the solicitor's qualifying exams, which are multiple choice questions, testing everything at the end of your degree and your professional training period. But you have the more steady paced, more practical legal practice course as an option if you start this year and accept your place before the 31st of August. Following the legal practice course year or your SQE exams, you would typically have a training period of 2 years and complete some skills tests in order to qualify as a solicitor. To become a barrister, then you have your academic law degree with us of 3 years, or an extra year if you want to do a year abroad. And the same for the solicitors, you can do that year abroad, and you do a 1 year bar professional training course. And sometimes that gets called different things like the bar professional course or the bar training course. You would then follow that with a pupillage in 2 stages of 6 months and qualify as a barrister. A non-law degree route is possible. So if you are really focused, say, on criminology and really wanted to do all criminology, then you can follow the non-law degree route. And if you want to do that with us, it's 2 years on our graduate entry law degree. Now, those career professions are not the only routes that the Leicester graduates take. We can find Leicester Law graduates in many different areas, such as those that you can see on screen now. So that includes working in business, human resources, in government jobs, our law and criminology students particularly focus on police and the probation service. Or it may be that you go for something quite different. The skills that you develop during a law degree put you in a good place to be involved in marketing. For many years, I've worked alongside marketing managers at university level who work in the law school but are actually law graduates. And understanding how lawyers work and how law works also opens up opportunities within business professional contexts or within the legal professions as well. And the world is your oyster, really, when it comes to following on from law. Law, of all of the disciplines that you study at university, requires particular IT and intellectual skills. So this puts you in a good place to deal with transactional work, information technology and media issues, even if you're not actually qualifying as a lawyer. And of course, many of us, like me, eventually, after becoming qualified, move into teaching and training. And I also work as a company secretary, which deals with the advanced, detailed legal issues that a company must go through in terms of its processes for regulation and regulatory reasons. So that's why you might want to do a law degree, and you get an idea of why people come to Leicester Law School. I'd like you to understand what happens at Leicester Law School as well. Well, the university as an educational institution has been going for 100 years. We are celebrating our centenary right now. The law school, as a law school, has been going for 50 of those. And throughout that time, we have been developing a supportive community of experts with a global outlook. We're all passionate about the law, politics, and criminology. So our connections with those other related disciplines are very important to us. We offer loads of choices for you to explore, and you'll see in a moment quite how wide the options are. It's very common for law students not quite to know what sort of discipline they would like to go into later. And we think, therefore, it's important that you have the scope to be able to adapt, develop your ideas, practice different things, and begin to specialise as you get to the end of your degree. We're assessed as being great at teaching. At Leicester Law School, we stand out from most of the other universities who teach law in that 100% of our students agreed in the national survey that our tutors are good at explaining things. So we make the difficult simple for you. And that's because our teaching is research-led. Our experts write the books that you'll use. So we have to think very carefully about how to explain things for other people to understand. And you in turn can develop those skills because you will need to explain complex things to clients and complex things and complex arguments to judges to persuade them. So you will have real world experience. You will have simulated real world experience in the mock courtroom, the pretend courtroom, but you can also be involved in the societies that have connections with real people, with real problems, working out how to solve those problems for them. And I'll tell you more about that in a moment. We will offer a range of law degree courses. We have the standard law degree, and we also have law degrees which mix a quarter of the course with the related disciplines that are most closely aligned to related careers, where it's important to get an advanced understanding of those particular areas. So, for example, if you were looking at probation or police work, or looking to become a barrister focused on working within the criminal justice system, then studying law with criminology is very worthwhile for your future career. If you're looking, as is the case with many politicians, to do a law degree with a view to a career in politics or working within the civil service, within the political system, then understanding political theory at a deep level is really important. So law with politics is there as well. We also offer law with a modern language, as many people are looking at studying law with a view to working with law in other jurisdictions, and developing and improving those modern language skills may be of interest to you. Or you may just want to do that and have a 4-year course for that one with a year abroad. Our dual qualification of English and French law is also a 4-year course. Our partner is the University of Strasbourg. You would spend 2 years at Leicester and obtain your law degree for England and Wales that qualifies for the professions here, and your 2 years in France gets you to the first stage just before the professional year for the French profession as well. Those who have an existing degree can progress to our LLB graduate entry for 2 years. All of our 3-year courses can also be turned into 4-year courses with a year abroad. So if you want to know more about that, do ask in the question and answer section. Now, I want to reassure you that our law degrees are all qualifying law degrees for the barrister's profession in England and in other jurisdictions where that's relevant, and Wales as well. And it also covers the essential subjects for qualification as a solicitor progressing through the legal practice course or the solicitor's qualifying exam. What's special about Leicester is that we offer the English legal system subject as 2 sub-subjects. One is analysing law. We have a global outlook. The world has a global outlook, and the legal professions do as well. So our analysing law subject does not just look at the English legal system. We are expansive in our outlook. With law, justice and society, you learn those critical analysis skills that are essential if you are going to make an argument that the law should change. So right from the start of your degree, in your first year, you are developing the critical skills that make you a better legal professional. regardless of what context you're looking, whether it's the legal professions or the other careers that you are aiming for. Now, I want to spend a few moments to highlight quite how good the options are at Leicester. So if you decided that you do want to do law with criminology or law with politics, then a quarter of your course will be focused on the alternative discipline. And you can tailor that to suit your particular desires and still maintain some options for law. Now, there's much to choose from. So I've shown on screen the options, and you can look on our website or get in touch with us for more information. But I hope if you're interested in those that you will find something that you find exciting and exhilarating, with a hunger to find out more. With the LLB options, because we are one of the largest law schools in the country, we're usually about the 4th or the 5th largest in the country, with about between 1,400 and 1,500 students and academics making up our community. That allows us to offer lots of different options. Now, some students are very focused on solicitor's qualification, and you can see on screen a range of optional subjects that you could study in your final year to get you ready for that. If you have more of a focus on the other areas, then there are alternatives there as well. We have a connection with the Wellcome Trust for our research side of things, looking at legal medical law issues. So we have some of the top medical professionals within the law school, and those are very popular options indeed. But we are acutely aware that many students do not know exactly what they would like to practice in and have a range of different interests, so may not want to tailor in quite that way. So other ways that you could look at your options might be more conceptual rather than practice-based. So if you are thinking about theory and reform, academia, law reform in the political sphere, then there's a collection of options there. If you are looking to keep your options open and you'll go on to do the legal practice course, perhaps with one of our partner institutions, such as the University of Law, with which we operate a guaranteed entry scheme, so get a 2-2, you will have a place on the legal practice course. Then you could look at keeping your options open. And there's a group that are relevant to people who are interested in the vulnerable, and a group if you have a very global outlook. If you're really focused and you want to be a barrister, then there's a selection there that would work for you. And what's special about Leicester's, the law degree, the standard law degree at Leicester, the 3-year or 4-year if you add the year abroad, is that we put all of the options in the final year. So you have the time to be able to decide what you would like to do, to develop experience in different legal areas, to get involved in the Law Society, meet practitioners, get experience with those, and then decide where you want to specialise. I'm often asked at open days how we actually teach. And here are some headlines about how the teaching works at Leicester. Like most law schools at university level, you will have about 1/3 of your time in classrooms or online classrooms. So about 10 to 12 hours of lectures and tutorials. About 1/3 of your time will be involved in preparing for the tutorials. And it's in the tutorials that we take the legal topics and the complex issues that have been explained in the lectures, with any uncertainties sorted out at question and answer sessions and surgeries. We take those into the tutorial, we take your detailed preparation that you have done in your 1/3 of your time that's allocated to that, and we really pick apart the law or decide exactly how we would advise a client. For some subjects, it's useful to have groups of students arguing against each other like you would in court, or perhaps working on different parts of a transaction. So for those, we run seminars that are slightly larger, with facilitated group work to allow us to get that practice focus with people working collaboratively or even combatively. Right now, because of the pandemic, our tutorials are running with slightly larger groups than usual. We pride ourselves in having a really small group, good focused contact with the tutor. And what we found is that actually works online slightly better with slightly larger groups, because it's easier to have more discussions, to go out into breakout groups online. So we're looking at around about 10 to 15 right now. By the time you join us, I expect that we will be back to normal and we will have small groups of about 8. I'm frequently asked about assessments. We match the assessment to the discipline. So if it's a legal topic that you should have at your fingertips, ready to be able to explain to a judge a specific point, then you would be assessed by an exam. If it's a more complex issue that requires detailed consideration with reference to legal textbooks and legal sources, then it's more likely to be an assignment. If it's a technical skill that it helps to develop with other people, then group assignments work well. Some of our topics replicate professional practice, such as commercial property and inheritance tax law. In that case, we need the assessment to replicate practice, so you have swift turnaround coursework, the kind of speed that a client would expect to receive some advice, so a few days to return your coursework. But that's very much the exception. Usually it's several weeks that you have to prepare detailed coursework. I mentioned that the job prospects are great at Leicester. 95% of our law students are employed or studying a master's degree 6 months after graduating. Some of our students decide to study something that is not a master's degree, and some are involved in charitable work. Now, our students do pursue careers in the top law firms and barristers' chambers. We can place our recent graduates in all 5 of the top law firms that are often referred to as the magic circle. But we also have great connections with the silver circle, the next notch down, with the internationalists, with local law firms and regional law firms across the UK. When you're here, you'll be able to develop your skills in the law library. We have a special law library for law students, and that will be opening in stages during return to normal. We also have a practical moot courtroom, the kind of courtroom that new lawyers at the start of their profession would use, so that when you get into the real court, it feels like familiar territory. And you can see that on screen now. You can actually work in the real court during your degree, supporting litigants in person who need advice and assistance, and you can sit in court with them, helping them to present their case if you get involved in the Litigants in Person project. And the Legal Advice Clinic helps people in an office environment as well. We have regular networking events and careers fairs at which local practitioners and the national and international firms attend to make sure that you know what's expected of you when you are in practice. We have a little network of people who will be supporting you during your time at Leicester. You will have an allocated personal tutor who will see you through the 3 years or 4 years if you're with us for longer. And we also have a pastoral support system called the Law Support Team. These are specialist counsellors who will point you in the right direction for additional advanced support if you need it, say for mental health well-being, medical support or learning support. We have careers tutors as well. Our specialist careers tutors focus on a particular practice area. So for example, we have a solicitor who is in practice who will help you there. We have a barrister, and we also have those who have experience qualifying overseas. And you can also join a peer mentoring scheme. We are well supported by the university level welfare and career guidance team too. Now I'm hoping that graduate success story will play just now. Perhaps Oliver will come in if he can't see this when I start playing it.
I studied law with a year abroad, which I spent in Sydney, Australia. Taking time to study abroad is quite good because it breaks up your second and third year. Through my course I did a lot of mooting and debating, which were quite good for learning to think on your feet. I'm a trainee solicitor at the moment and I'm about 3/4 of the way through. The way it works in law, if you're doing a training contract, you do it for 2 years and you spend 6 months in different parts of the firm, and the idea is that you then pick where you want to qualify and specialise into. A particular highlight was taking part in the OTC, which is the Officer Training Corps. It's basically a course run by the Army, and through that I got to learn to ski, learn to skydive, met some really good people and picked up some great life skills. One of the difficult things in law is that there is so much to choose from, whether it's a barrister or solicitor, or whether it's corporate law or family law, or whether you want to work in London or Manchester. I was basically able to speak to people from every one of those avenues, and that just gave me a lot of information to help me choose which was the right path for me.
So the support that Michael experienced was very much from the law school tutors, the professors and the professional team that back us up in the law office. So we have professors, we have legal practitioners, I myself am a qualified solicitor, and we also have the professional experts who will know exactly what kind of support will maximise your chances of success. That includes textbook writers, we have barristers within our team. We also have judges and professionals who advise the government, and specialist researchers who explain how the law should be reformed. And that might be they work with the government or with the court system or with international agencies. So the 3 people that you can see on screen now are some of my colleagues who provide advice to charities, international agencies, the court system, and governments around the world. And in having this experience outside of the law school, it means that we can share this with you so that you know how law is developing right now. We are at the forefront of those developments. Remember, you will be supported in dealing with those complex issues by your personal tutors and the law support team. But most importantly of all, by the communities that make up Leicester Law School. You will be part of that community. Now, within that community is the Leicester Law School, the Leicester University Law Society. And this was assessed as being the best law society in the country. It's run by students. It isn't run by the academics. And that means that as long as you would like to do something, you can achieve that. So if you have an ambition in a particular area, you can develop your own sub-society. For example, you can see on screen, we have the Amnesty International Society. Students who are interested in that can get involved. There are some that like to watch film screenings and debate the issues that arise from a legal point of view in relation to those films. And new for this year, students have driven our pro bono society to look at supporting those people who want to claim compensation under the Windrush compensation scheme. For people who have been treated in an abysmal way by the UK immigration system and are entitled to compensation. But there's a vast range of different things that you can get involved in the Law Society, and I very much hope that you will, because it's what makes our community so special. You may have been adding up my thirds, a third of your time in class, a third of your time involved in preparing for the tutorials and seminars. And the other third is here, dealing with developing the skills that are relevant to your future, to look at how you will make a change for the positive development of the world in a fantastic way. But don't just take my word for it. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see a video from one of our former students. We have a very close connection with Canada on the other side of the Atlantic, and this is some words from one of our Canadian students.
What I love most about law is that it's such a broad and well-rounded subject, and we have extracurriculars to help you develop important skills to being a lawyer. So we have things like mooting and debating, and these help you develop public speaking skills, for example. First year, you have all the fundamentals of laws. In second year, you have 1 optional module and 3 core modules, and in final year, you have 3 optional modules and 1 core module. So as you go along your course, it gets more and more specialized, and you can branch out into more niche areas of law that interest you. My story is a little unique. So I'm from Canada, and my dad one day was on the subway to work, and he noticed in the newspaper an ad for Leicester Law School. And he said, look into it because you want to go to law school and this international experience would be really good for you. And luckily I got in, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions. As a law student, we have access to the law library, which is where we are. All the law reports of England here, so these are all the judgments from all the cases that we have to read. It makes us feel very lawyerly. The law tutors at Leicester are always willing to help, and they're very accessible. In tutorials, they're always helping you develop and refine your skills, and they really help you cement your understanding of what you're learning in lectures. What I love most about Leicester is that it's such a close-knit community. It's always nice to see a familiar face walking around campus. I love Leicester, and it's a decision that you won't regret.
Now, before I hand over to Oliver to deal with any questions that you have, I'm frequently asked how you might go about applying. Well, your personal statement is going to be important. You would apply through UCAS, and tell me a little bit about yourself. What we're looking for is students who have these qualities that are on screen now. We are focused on making a positive change in the world, and these skills will mean that you are most likely to fulfill those requirements. I'm usually looking for you to have A-levels of AAB or predicted that. And if you're doing an extended project qualification, then that can mean that the entry requirements will come down, because the extended project is very similar to the kind of work that you will do during the law degree. So get a B in an EPQ and I will be very pleased. Get an A or an A star, I will be over the moon. Make your personal statement count for when I'm looking at it. I want to know why you're interested in law, because then I can see why you are motivated in the first place and are likely to continue to be motivated. Because it is difficult sometimes to study as a law student with a lot of material to work through. And you do need to have that end goal in mind, and also where you started will be relevant to that. I want you to critically analyse a legal point so that I can see that you are developing some analytical skills. I don't need it to be perfect, I don't need it to be wonderful, but I want to know how you think. And I want to know what you've been doing to develop your legal skills or experience. And this does not need to be in a law firm or an internship at a barrister's chambers, a mini pupillage or anything like that. Work within a charity, in a business context, volunteering. All of those experiences can be relevant to the sort of work that you may be interested in. Simply visiting a court and identifying which court system you like, or maybe say if you think there's something that's defective about the legal system when you've been experiencing it. All of those things add up to give me a full picture of where you're at now and what your legal future might be. Many people's ideas change. You're not committing yourself to anything. But I want to see where you might fit in our community. I might see, aha, here we have the next leader of our pro bono advice, legal advice clinic, that sort of thing. So to sum up, coming to Leicester Law School means that you can apply the law to real life situations, learning the skills that are needed for that. In addition, you critically analyse the law so you can be at the forefront of law reform. You can be a more effective advocate in court. And you will learn transferable legal skills in a real life context. So if you decide that you don't want to go into the legal professions, there's a wide range of options open to you. And there are so many options at Leicester Law School that you'll definitely find something that you love. Now, my last closing word is to mention our proud history. It's 100 years since Leicester University started on the site. And we are having a big celebration. In recognition of that celebration, there are some scholarships available called the Centenary Scholarship. And for international students, that's the President's Scholarship. These mark your achievements by recognising and rewarding you financially. So if you are expecting to achieve extremely good exam results, then have a look at our President's and Centenary Scholarships, and you may be pleasantly surprised at the discount that you will receive. So thank you very much for your time, for listening. If you do have some questions, then I will be very happy to answer them. You can post these in the Q&A section on the talk.
Thank you very much, Edward. That's a fantastic sort of overview of the School of Law, sort of what courses are on offer as part of it, and how to apply, which is really sort of vital information that certainly I know I get a lot of questions about as well. So really good some tips there. And it's worth sort of just mentioning as well in terms of the scholarships. I know as well they're being updated, so it's definitely worth having a look on our website. We have a fantastic web page with sort of all the sort of details about each of the scholarships, and I know there's some exciting sort of work on another scholarship coming soon, so definitely kind of stay tuned on that web pages too. We've had quite a number of questions come in, Edward, so I'll sort of start with sort of the most popular that's been outvoted several times. Instead of the year abroad, could students look to swap with a placement year in a firm? If there are opportunities available, and perhaps you could also just give a little bit of an overview of what the year abroad would be like as well for law.
Yep, so the year abroad involves studying at another institution. If you have a connection with a particular country, then we would ask you to go to a different one, because it's all about developing a understanding of a culture, the legal system, historical issues and environmental issues as well. So you can choose the subjects that you take. They do not have to be all law. And if you're doing the law with modern language, then you would study languages alongside your legal, historical, environmental topics or cultural topics. One of the great things is that the fees are much lower. They're currently a quarter of the normal fees. And in addition, you can enjoy studying those issues without worrying about whether you pass or not. But you do have to pass for the modern languages degree. In relation to the query on whether you can swap that for a year in industry, we do not currently offer a year in industry, but we are looking at developing that as a potential program in the future. We find that the law students at Leicester don't really need that extra boost that a year in industry can give, because of the excellent work that you can do throughout the 3 years of working with legal practitioners that support the Law Society developing the skills that you need along the way, rather than potentially going for a job that is not necessarily really a legal job. Most law firms and barristers' chambers do not offer a year of legal experience. You may find that your year in industry becomes a year dealing with the administrative paperwork for hiring out motor vehicles, because a lot of these schemes involve the enterprise car hire. So if we are going to develop this for students starting in 2021, then it's going to have to be a very high quality scheme, a very good quality job that you seek. So keep an eye out, keep an eye open for this. At the moment, we're not offering it for those students starting in 2020, but we are looking at it seriously. On the practical advice, on the practical experience side of things, I'm joined by Laura B, my colleague, who may be able to give you more of an insight as well. Hello, Laura. I think you're muted. There we go.
Oh, sorry, here I am. Hello, everybody. My name's Laura B, and I manage the Legal Advice Clinic here at Leicester Law School. Edward, was there something in particular that you wanted me to talk about, or shall I just introduce myself generally?
Yeah, I think it would be nice if we can find out a little about the clinical legal skills modules, so that students can have that year worth of experience as part of their degree, rather than going off booking out cars and dealing with administrative paperwork. So it's real legal practice experience.
Okay, so in the Legal Advice Clinic, the basic premise of it is that students give free legal advice to people in the community who need it. So we publicise what we're doing on Facebook, on the internet, and so on. And then people who have a problem, which can range from wanting to get a divorce and not knowing how to do that, not knowing how to go about it, or perhaps they want to have access to their children more often. They're already separated, but they want to see the children more. Or they might have a consumer issue. They bought something and they didn't get what they were promised. Or there might be an issue regarding someone's will. They might have been expecting to be a beneficiary in a will and they're not, or something like that. The kind of legal issues that ordinary people get all of the time, they bring those issues to us, and then students spend some time either as a volunteer, but also about half of our students do this as part of their learning in their final year of their degree, researching the problem, creating a research note, the kind of thing that you would typically create if you were perhaps a trainee solicitor for your supervising solicitor after you've done a piece of research. So I teach you how to create that kind of document. And then once that research note has been reviewed by me, and I'm a qualified solicitor, so I'm the supervising solicitor of the clinic, we then invite the client to come in, and although we're doing it by video chat at the moment, and then the students will interview the client to find out a little bit more about their problem, because what you would find if you were working this kind of scenario is that when people have a legal issue, they can tell you what they think the important facts are, but those might not be the important facts. There might be something else that you need to know that's crucial in order for you to be able to form a view on the law. So the students are trained to interview clients to find out important information and to put the whole story together rather than just the bits that have been presented by the client. And then we have a pause where the client leaves the room or leaves the video chat, and the students work through, with my help, what the law is relating to this client and how that law applies to this specific scenario. And that bit of the learning, students, by the time they're in their final year, which is when I see them in the clinic, that's the kind of learning that they're already familiar with, figuring out what the law is, and then applying it, because that's the kind of thing that you will have been starting to do in your studies elsewhere. Then the really important extra bit of learning that I find that students have to get a real handle on in the clinic is that the client will want to know what the law is and where they stand legally, but that for them that's not the end of the story, and that's probably not even the important bit of the story. What they're after is they want to know, okay, what shall I do next?
Mm.
And that's the bit that that students sometimes forget at the start, and as the module goes on and the year goes on, that's the bit that they get better and better at as they start to develop from law students into legal practitioners. And sometimes I see a light bulb moment where the importance of that practical knowledge and practical advice really kicks in, and they realise what they're actually there for, and that's a fantastic moment for me.
It is. I see that in employment classes as well, as we work. There's students who are doing the legal advice clinic when they come to do that with the in the employment classes. They'll get to the end of what the legal position is, and they say, so what the client should do is this.
Yeah, that's it. And it's an extra step.
You've got the legal skill that you need to start practice.
That's right. Yeah, and it's a real sign of a law student maturing and starting to get ready for life after the law degree, and being confident enough about the law and knowing the law that you can then go and apply it in a practical way. So yeah, that's something that students really feel that that's the real value added from this module that they're getting, that they might not get on some of their earlier modules where they're looking more at what is the law, what should the law be, and so on.
And Laura, you can do that for half the year or the full year, can't you?
That's right, yes. And you can volunteer as well, and you can so you
can start in the first year.
You can work in the clinic basically every year that you're here in some capacity. And the students say that they enjoy it. Students come thinking, this is great, I'm going to learn loads of legal skills, and they do learn loads of legal skills, but they also leave usually having gained a lot more than just the legal skills. So the thing that I notice that they don't even sometimes notice themselves is that by going through this process of learning how to advise clients, students really often develop some real confidence in themselves and in their abilities, probably because they are starting to do what they wanted to do with this legal knowledge in the first place. So they're starting to feel like they're useful for, perhaps the first time in a legal context, and overcome real fears. So last year I had a student who joined the module, but as soon as she started said, Laura, I'm really nervous about being in a room with a client. I'm going to get tongue-tied. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. So I've
had that for years.
Well, that's the thing we do, don't we? So I worked with her really closely to get her dealing with as much as she felt comfortable with each time. So in the first client session, her student pair did most of the talking, and I could see that this student knew what should be happening, but she didn't feel quite confident enough to do it herself. And then the next client session, I think she started with the formalities, welcoming the client and making sure they were comfortable and explaining what the procedure was and so on. And then she worked up to, within a couple of client sessions, she worked up to being able to present the legal position and talk about the client's options and so on. And for her, that was her real journey throughout the module, was learning to have the confidence in order to be able to run that quite complex kind of meeting. And I don't know whether she will end up becoming a solicitor or not. Time will tell. But that's a skill that no matter what she's doing this year, and then the years to follow, that was a real learning moment for her when she developed her ability to be able to handle a professional type conversation.
Thank you very much, Laura. We do have a few more questions, I think, Oliver. So can you?
I was just about to say.
You think we need to watch it? And
no, thank you very much for that, Laura. I'm just I'm conscious of time and sort of other sessions going on, and we've definitely had quite a few questions come in. So what the things is we're going to wrap up this session. However, we've got the law online chat going on at 3 p.m. So what I would suggest to everyone is if you go back to the main event page, and you'll see there'll be sort of a box there that will take you to the law chat, and there you can kind of put your question to both admissions tutors, academics on the law course, and they will be able to answer them there as well. Thank you very much, Edward and Laura, for your insights. Been really useful to hear, and hopefully I'm sure it's been really useful for all the students that have been engaging with the session today. And just to add as well, from 2 p.m. There will be a talk on how to choose a course and apply to university. There'll also be Instagram live around sports and active life. So if you're interested in taking part in sort of sports related activities, then definitely tune into Instagram as well from 2. And then at 3 p.m. there will be a talk on accommodation. There'll be a Q&A on Instagram, and then we'll also got a parent session and a personal statement session. So there's lots still going on today, but definitely head over to the law chat where you can look to get your questions answered. Once again, thank you very much, Edward and Laura, and if you've got any questions, feel free to go to the law chat. Thank you.